I've been getting 6 to 10% tax-free rates of return and not losing money due to market volatility with IUL for 23 years. In this episode, I'm going to address the question, is indexed universal life worth it? Get ready, it's way more than worth it. So with an indexed universal life insurance contract, one of my favorite vehicles that allows me and thousands of my clients for years to accumulate their serious cash, money they don't want to jeopardize or lose, for goals such as retirement, but it can also be used for college funding, emergency funds, business working capital, also real estate management. My favorite is what I call the Laser Fund. Laser is an acronym that stands for Liquid Assets Safely Earning Returns, okay? And I've actually written a book called The Laser Fund. In fact, at the end of this episode, I'll show you how you can get a free copy of that 300-page book. But for years, I have averaged on fixed universal life where I maximum funded it. That means I put in the most money the IRS would allow, and I took the least amount of insurance they would let me get away with. And it turns into this tax-free cash cow. And I have earned returns averaging 8.2% back till 1980 when it first came out. In 1997 is when indexed universal life was introduced. And my rate of return actually sneaked up to about 10%, 9.6, 10.07, depending upon the 20-year period you're looking at. But even at 6% tax-free, I am doing better than money in the market if you think you can earn 9%. Now, let me just share with you what a lot of people don't know, and this is according to Dalbar, who studies investor behavior, and they study what the actual returns are that people have as far as investment return that is possible versus investor return. So based on actual historical rates of return, I have earned between 8 to 10%, but interest rates are relative. Back in the 1980s to the 1990s, I never earned less than 11.75%. Now we're in a very low interest environment, probably 50, 60-year low. I would rather have a tax-free return of 5 or 6% than a taxable return of 9%. So let me sort of share with you what Dalbar has disclosed as far as actual investor behavior. They said that you can take any 20-year period in American history back to the Great Depression. If you bought and held, if you put your money in the market and you didn't let emotion come in, you'd probably average a little over 9% before tax. On a tax-deferred IRA or 401k, you're not netting 9. You're going to have to pay tax on the back end on a Roth sooner than later. But see, the net, if you're earning 9 in a 33% combined federal and state income tax bracket, and if you're sitting there going, well, I don't pay that much in tax, you will be, because taxes are going to go through the roof, mark my word, because of the economic stimulus, the bailouts, all of the pandemic benefits that we've had to pay out to people. And we have initiatives that are popular right now. Joe Biden, at the recording of this, disclosed that if he had his way, he would do away with the step-up in basis on long-term capital gains and take the capital gain rate from a federal rate of 20% up to 39.6%. That's double, okay? So, see, most people agree that sooner or later, because of irresponsible government spending and the printing of money, taxes will be higher. So if I use a third, 41 out of 50 states has a state income tax. That's pretty much what most people pay in tax. Californians pay more like 40%. Some of them pay over 50%. But that means if you earn 9 on $1 million nest egg, that's 90 grand. If you pulled out 90,000, you would pay tax of probably 30,000 and you only net 60,000 or a net of 6%. Do you understand that? Okay. Well, see, I would rather just earn 6% tax-free than trying to have to earn 9% tax deferred and then pull out the money and pay tax. But see, Dalbar says most people don't earn 9% because most people don't buy and hold. Most people, they have their money in the market, and as soon as it starts to drop down 20, 30%, which February to March of the year 2020, it has done that in 2008, it dropped 40%. People panic. and they sell, they get out, they sell low, and then they wait until it gets up here, and then they buy high. And so Dalbar said the truth is the average investor in the stock market, in mutual funds, the average retiree is only earning 3.49%, 3.5%. This is why the financial services industry came out with what is called the 4% rule. If you're only averaging 3.5% with your money in the market, and you pull out 4%, on $1 million, that would be 40,000. You're going to slowly deplete that $1 million, but hopefully not before your LE, that means life expectancy. That's called the 4% rule. They don't want you taking out more than 4% because they don't want to be sued for you outliving your money. If you take out more than 4%, they may make you sign a waiver that you will not sue them for outliving your money. That's pretty pathetic. So when we talk about index universal life, I can earn 9 and net 8. I can earn 11 and net 10, totally tax-free, but it's tax-free. See, I have averaged 10.07% actually for the last 25 years. Interest rates are low right now, but that's been my average. In order to net 10% out of an IRA or 401k or money in the market, I'd have to be earning 15 or 16% to then on $1 million have 150,000 or 160,000. Now, I'm going to have to put my money at risk to try to go for that much rate of return. But if I earn 15, I'm only netting 10 after tax. I'm only netting 9 after the fees because most of these asset managers charge at least 1% on $1 million. That's 10 grand. See, the reason I like indexed universal life insurance contracts is because I can take out the money tax-free and I can more predictably earn a rate of return of 7, 8, 9, or 10%. And I don't have to put my money at risk in the market. My money is safely tucked in the insurance company, and they credit me based upon what the market does without my money at risk in the market. That's called indexing. I would encourage you to watch episodes that explain indexing because this is so powerful that can help you earn these rates of return that I've talked about. So Universal Life first came out in 1980. It was the brainchild of E.F. Hutton. They weren't an insurance company. They were a brokerage firm. And instead of trying to earn 12% for their clients in the stock market and mutual funds and have them only net 7 or 8% after tax and fees, they were the ones who said, golly, why don't we just have people put their money directly into a maximum funded life insurance contract? Let's have them take the least amount of insurance that the IRS will let them get away with and put in the most money, and they can earn 11 and net 10. Now, I mentioned in the 1980 to 1990 era, I never earned less than 11.75%. I earned as high as 15.5%. But if I earned 11, I netted 10. People would put in $500,000 into one of these. They would net 10%. They could start pulling out $50,000 a year tax-free immediately. Now, this was so good that some of the brokerage firms couldn't compete, and the banks and the credit unions, because these paid higher interest, they were safer. Insurance companies are far safer in ratings than most banks and credit unions. They paid higher interest, they were tax-free, and they actually blossomed in value when you died. They can't compete with that. But they wanted to slow the flow, but actually this is where a lot of banks and credit unions that borrow our money, when you put money into a bank or a credit union, you're sort of lending them your money. And they're not putting your money in a vault. Where are they putting it? Do you know they put 30 to 40% of their tier 1 assets back into insurance companies? And so they borrow our money and pay us, 1%, and they turn around and make 5, 6, 7% tax-free. How much more is 5 than 1? Don't say 4. That's 500% more. It's 5 times. So the reason why when people ask me, is indexed universal life worth it? I go, would it be worth earning a rate of return of 8 to 10% tax-free rate of return that every million, when you are ready to retire or you need money, can generate 80 to 100,000 a year of tax-free income? You compare that to any money in an IRA or 401k in the market, and you would have to be earning 15 and 16%. Is that worth it? And you take less risk. You have less volatility. You make money when the market goes up. You don't lose when it goes down. It's totally tax-free. It's been grandfathered in the Internal Revenue Code for over a century. Is that worth it? And people go, whoa, I've never heard of this. I've never seen this before. Isn't that sad? Well, in my circles, this is what is used. It's the most incredible instrument to accumulate money tax-free for retirement, but when you take out the money, it's tax-free. Those are provided under 3 sections of the Internal Revenue Code that I explain in other episodes, and I also teach in many of my books. I've authored 11 books thus far, and my most recent book is called The Laser Fund. Now, Indexed Universal Life was introduced in 1997, and in this book I talk about indexing. That's not index mutual funds. Prior to 1997, for 17 years, I averaged about 8.2%. But when indexing came out, it jumped up to a little over 10%, has been the average, but interest rates are relative. Right now, with interest rates way low, you can borrow on a house in the 2 and 3% ranges. You may only earn 5 or 6% tax-free, but if you understand rebalancing, you can tweak the rate of return up 2 and 3 and 4 percentage points. The point is this. In 2017, we had many clients lock in gains of 16% tax-free on their Indexed Universal Life. Some earned 25%. Now, folks, it means if the next year the market dove, they didn't lose. The 25% they made the year before, that's called lock-in and reset. I wish I had more time on these YouTube videos, but this is why I'd like you to click up here and watch additional recommended episodes so you can learn. But just remember this. In an indexed universal life insurance contract that you structure properly and fund correctly, every million can generate $60,000 up to $100,000 a year of tax-free income without depleting principal if you live to be 120. Is that worth it? If you want to know more, that's why I wrote this book. It's called The Laser Fund. LASER is an acronym that stands for Liquid Asset Safely Earning Returns. This book teaches you how to diversify and create the foundation for a tax-free retirement. It's actually 2 books in one. This is 200 pages, 14 chapters, all kinds of charts and graphs if you're a left-brain thinker. If you learn more by stories, you flip it over, and this has 12 chapters, about 100 pages, with 62 actual client stories. This book retails for $20. I'll buy the book, okay? Claim your free copy by going to laserfund.com. That's L-A-S-E-R, fund.com. You simply pay $5.95 shipping and handling, which honestly doesn't quite cover that. But folks, I'm passionate about educating people like you. I'll fire out a book. I'll pay for the book. You pay the shipping and handling. There's other options in there if you like to listen and learn or watch and learn. But this will be the beginning of you getting several epiphanies into opportunities that maybe you didn't know existed before.